go.
Awesome.
Oh, all right, Jake. The floor is yours, buddy.
Let's do this thing. Actually, I don't have many slides today, you guys. I'm going to do more talking and engaging with you through this. I do have a few things that I will eventually share on the screen. Um, Mike, first of all, can you confirm for me that we're not going to be able to interact or see other people, but they can see us? Is that true? Did Mike leave me already?
I have the chat room on. They can see you guys can submit questions. Let me turn that
Okay.
on for you
All right.
and make sure that's working.
So I like to get participation. It's okay if not, but at least let me start by saying thank you to Sweet Assist, Mike, Corey, Sam, everybody. I think they're absolute winners. They're champions of you, champions of the industry, and wanting to provide value through their Sweet Assist and referral suite platforms. So I just want to say thank you, man. We've become friends, and I don't have to say that either to stroke your ego, man. I really mean that for giving me this opportunity. That said, those of you that maybe don't know who I am yet, I won't bore you with all my background. I'll just say this, that I'm the owner, founder, CEO of a real estate coaching and training company called The Locker Room. And what we do is we specialize specifically working with independent broker owners. Yes, we also serve some franchises, but really our bread and butter is indie broker owners. And we specialize in assisting with all things related to growth, retention, productivity, and profitability. All right, through our systems and resources and coaching methods. So that said, the last 90 days, I have been on maybe what you would call an experiment of sorts. I have literally, maybe some of you even watching this right now, I have met every single day for the last 90 days consecutively with two broker owners every single day, with the exception of weekends. All right. So I have talked to a lot of broker owners who are not currently affiliated with the Locker Room, not to mention those who are. And you know, the pattern I'm seeing right now, which is why I'm here talking about the popular topic of recruiting, is because that continually comes up, go figure, in my sessions with everybody. And one of the common themes that I've noticed, and Mike just alluded to this, is they want to go straight into the tactics. What are the scripts? What can I do? What's the strategy? And those are great questions. Those are very fair questions. But I have to roll it back first because of something that Mike just said. What I have discovered is many broker owners cannot articulate what their value proposition even is. And I am here to say my opinion. You can disagree with me all you'd like. That's fine. My opinion is that your compensation plan is not your value proposition. I have recruited hundreds of agents, and I learned the hard way initially that the same reason I would recruit somebody in would be the same reason they would leave me if it was just superficial stuff around caps and splits and fees and profit shares and revenue share. The same reason they join you, if that's it, will be the same reason they leave you. So it's got to be more substantial, got to be more rooted. So it takes you knowing what is your value proposition. And part of that, fortunately or unfortunately, is you. Stop discrediting yourself. Stop, putting your experience, to the side. People pay for proximity. I just watched the Super Bowl. Probably a lot of you did too. I watched it from the comfort of my couch. You know how much that cost me? $0. You know how much it cost people who are actually at the game for one ticket? Thousands of dollars. So the lesson there is same game. I could watch the same game, but the thing that changed was my proximity to the game. People, when you understand your actual value proposition, people will pay you, in other words, to be close to you and have proximity to you. All right. So if you guys want to engage in the chat, that's fine. I don't know how much I'll be able to see it. So you can answer these questions or just think about them. But why is recruiting so important? Why is this constant buzzword? It's this competitive landscape now more than ever before with something like recruiting. Why is it so important? What makes it so challenging for broker owners to stand out from the crowd when there's a lot of noise being created? Why is that so hard? And by the way, what's at stake in your business, in your brokerage? What's at stake if you don't effectively grow? Grow with the right people, right? I think all of us would probably come up with a similar answer. Why it's so important is because it's instant cash flow. It's the future. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? We can't stay stale. We can't stay, complacent. We have to grow. And I would argue today, for what I'm getting ready to share with you, we have to grow the right way with the right people that align with you. What is that problem that you help them solve? And we're going to crack into some of this today. So, like I said, you can take it or leave it, but I have recruited hundreds of agents, many of which were top performing $50 million plus a year teams that were untouchable, unrecruitable. And somehow I was able to crack the code and reel them into the company I was at the time. Um, when I finished my very last year being a CEO of this real estate company that I was recruiting for, I had 40 appointments per month consistently, 2 a day, 10 a week, 40 a month consistently. And I finished that last year at a 2.5 to 1 conversion ratio. It led the entire region, meaning for every 2.5 appointments, I recruited one of them in. So we would consistently bring in 15 to 20 people a month, some new, some experienced, good mix of the two, because of the laser focus and methods that I've been able to systematize and or document that I'm going to share with you guys today. So let me ask you this. Depending on who is your ideal agent, which we're going to get into, it starts with us. Who do you need to be, right? How are agents currently viewing you? So I'm going to share on my screen a brief example of what I'm talking about, just for demonstration purposes. And already there's a typo in the first one, dang it. But bear with me here. You can take a picture, write this down, whatever you want to do. To get us all on the same page, is it fair to assume that most agents right out of the gate are going to see you at the bottom step? They see you as the recruiter. You're just doing your job. Hey, we're not too far different. Yeah, I might be calling to recruit you, just like you might be calling your database to get a buyer or a seller. Surprise, surprise, we're all in the attraction and sales business. Oh my gosh, right? But if we understand that that's the bottom step, that's the starting point. By default, every time you reach out to an agent, they're a little skeptical, they're holding their cards to their chest, they see you as the recruiter. The trick is, I got to go up the ladder. I got to climb up these steps. So yes, it's fair. It's fine. I'm not going to deny that I may or may not be recruiting you, but it doesn't stop there. I'm also authentic and caring. So this goes to John Maxwell's questions, right? And what is this book? Few Connect, whatever. Do you care about me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? That's what John Maxwell says. Upon meeting you for the very first time, consciously or subconsciously, people are judging you or asking those questions to themselves. Can this Jake guy really help me? Can I trust this Jake guy? And does Jake really care about me? So your first initiative is to understand that and figure out, how do you demonstrate that you're not just the recruiter, but you're also real. You're authentic, you're caring, like you're the real deal. And now all of a sudden that wall or that barrier they're holding up starts to break a little bit. And it's step 3 then, that not only am I just doing my job, I'm trying to grow, yes. I'm a real person, I care, but now it's that third step that I'm knowledgeable. And it's generally, as you can read in the notes there, it's at step 3 that they're going to agree to a meeting with you. That's when you finally get to meet them at Starbucks, or you have them come into your office, is when they not just see you as the recruiter, they understand now you're also authentic and caring, and you know what the heck you're talking about. Now there's something in it for them. And that's compelling enough for them to want to meet with you for 30 minutes or so for a quote unquote recruiting or opportunity meeting. All right. And then step 4 is the coach, or you can replace coach with leader. Once they see you as their leader is when they will join you. And then finally, the top step is the dream maker, right? That's when they're never going to leave you. As long as you're helping them get whatever they want, you've got them. And that's how you get them and retain them for a very long time. So this is just a good starting place for us to pick up from, assuming we can all agree to some level that this is kind of the progression and I can't skip a step. It's important. So when I ask you the question, I'm going to stop sharing again. When I ask you the question, who do you need to be? That's the starting block. Because whoever you are, there's a famous quote out there, whoever you are today is not the same version of you it's going to require to get to the next level that you're seeking to get to, right? And so I could go straight into tactics and scripts, but I'm not. And I'm not for a reason, because our DNA in the lack of growth or whatever often stems with us. I have to grow. I lose all rights to lead other people the very second that I stop growing myself. All right. So I ask again, how are agents currently viewing you? Do they only see you as the recruiter? How can you change that narrative? How are you positioning yourself within their lives, within their businesses? And are you willing to work to become the person that you need to become in order to obtain the growth that you're trying to get? All right. So I start there. I see the chat. Oh, what's up, Derek? Awesome, man. Glad to have you here. So if we can all agree on that. Now, you can write these down or just whatever you want to do. I think we need to define, and if I had some more engagement, in fact, why don't you guys put in the chat, what do you feel are the characteristics of a great rock star recruiter? What are the characteristics of a great recruiter? I'd love to hear some examples from some of you out there, and you can put it in the chat. Ability to connect on a personal level. Yes. Thank you, Mark. Extroverted. Maybe. Yeah. Introverts can crush it too, though, Carl. What else? What else we got out there? Transparent and honest. Absolutely. We're just talking about that one, right? Let's get one more, maybe. Define the needs. Yeah, to be able to speak to their needs. Great follow-up, adding continual value. Identify the needs and wants of the potential agent. See, y'all are smart, man. Great. Here's some that I would add, and you guys keep popping them in the chat. Some of you already said some of these. Authentic and transparent. Yes. Lead with value in order to open up a relationship. Stop trying to close people and start trying to open up relationships first. I believe another characteristic of a rock star recruiter is mastering the art of asking questions, doing that really thorough get to know you needs analysis. If you just go into an appointment and you verbally vomit how wonderful you and your brokerage are, you're like everybody else. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the best way to demonstrate that you care about somebody is asking a question and shutting the heck up and letting them talk. Coaching 101, right? The person who's asking the most questions is in control of the conversation, and the person who's doing the most talking is doing the most bonding. Do you want to build rapport and have these potential agents bond with you? Yes or yes? Of course. So ask better questions, right? I agree. Some of you said this. Great rockstar recruiters value the individual and they see them as whole. They see them as resourceful. Rockstar recruiters are able to set their ego aside. That's some of that who do I need to become type of thing. We all have an ego. It doesn't necessarily carry a negative connotation, but we've got to be able to put our ego aside and make it about them instead of it being about us, right? You got to be an effective communicator who can articulate and clearly demonstrate value. And then I still go back to John Maxwell's questions. Can I help them? Can they trust me? And do they know that I really care about them? You guys have heard this or seen it, maybe even some of you maybe have said this. Depending on prior companies you were affiliated with, you felt like a number. When people say that, what they're really saying is they're crying for help. They're crying to be valued. They're crying to feel like they're heard and make a difference. That's all. They want to be a part of something. That's it. So those of you that get to stand out from the crowd, aside from your splits and caps and all the attractive stuff, who are you and how do you show up for them? So that's the value. That's why they won't want to join you. All right. So let's get into some of the meat and taters of this. I got some crunchy stuff for you today. We have to first understand not just who do I need to become, what is my value, but number three, establish who is my ideal agent. You got to slow down enough, ladies and gentlemen. Define who is your ideal agent. Okay. I've got some questions for you to consider. And if you need to write these down or go back and watch the replay to get them all, that's cool. So, question number one, and this is what I go through asking people in a one-on-one setting all the time. I'll just simply ask open-ended, who are you seeking to attract? Can you describe that person for me? Who are you seeking to attract into your unique brokerage and culture? You know what? I generally I can't even get past that first question. It's a struggle sometimes because we're worried about getting anybody with a pulse. Can you really describe? In fact, do you have an agent, a real live agent that comes to mind when you were like, man, I wish I could have 50 marks? That's great. So now ask yourself, what is it, tangibles and intangibles about Mark, that makes him like the epitome of the type of agent that you want to attract? So who is that? Let me ask you another question. When it comes to identifying your ideal agent, what are the non-negotiables that they must have? They must have them. And then I'm going to flip that. What are the non-negotiables that they must not have? It's just like working with a buyer. Tell me your needs. Tell me your must-haves. Tell me your must-not-haves. So in this instance, I don't care what this person's production is. I don't care that they're number one in the board. I would not hire anybody if X, Y, and Z. You got to be real clear on what you want, and you have to be equally as clear as what you don't want and not sacrifice those standards, or otherwise known as non-negotiables. What would you expect of them? What can they expect of you? What are the common challenges or obstacles as you're creating this picture of this ideal agent? What are the common challenge or obstacles that they face, and what solutions do you offer for them? Example, in most markets, let's say you want to go after $3 to $5 million producers because you really love working with kind of that messy middle type agent who they already have business, like they know how to write contracts, they bring with them a book of business, and yet put yourself in their shoes for a day. What's keeping them awake at night? What are their common struggles? I'll bet you it has something to do with systems. Their good looks and charisma got them to 3 to 5 mil, but now they need systems to break through that entrepreneurial barrier and get more intentional about how they conduct their business. I'll bet you they're currently struggling with time management or work-life balance. I'll bet you they're still struggling with what everybody does, lead generation and lead follow-up. So if I can put myself in the shoes of that ideal agent as you're formulating them and say, well, what are their common struggles? Now I get to figure out what solution I offer that person with that struggle. That's real value. That goes well beyond splits and caps and all the other stuff. But most of us don't slow down to ask, let alone answer these questions. And so we never get to really understand who really we're meant to serve. You don't need all the agents in your dang MLS. You don't want them. So my job today is to change the way you think about some stuff, and I'm going to submit this one to you. What if you stopped referring to it as recruiting? What if you even stopped referring to it even as some of you like to use the word attracting? I want to put the power in your hand. I'm going to ask you to possibly consider using the term select. What if that changed a little bit of the swagger, a little bit of pep in the step that you have when it comes to recruiting, and say, you know what? I'm not recruiting anybody. What I'm actually doing is I'm selecting them. There's 3,000 agents into my MLS. My goal is to grow to 50 agents. I'm going to go select the 50 agents that meet my culture, can align with my value proposition. I know I can serve them. It's a selection process. It's not even a recruiting process anymore. Don likes that. Don likes select. Okay, at least I'm talking to one person out there. But doesn't that change? Just that one word, doesn't that change things? You kind of push your shoulders back a little bit and like, all right, yeah, I don't need everybody. You know what my favorite quote is? Some of you out there are familiar with Simon Sinek, okay? Simon Sinek said, and this hit me like a ton of bricks years ago when I first heard it. He said, the goal in business is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with those who believe what you believe. Wow. Let me say that one more time. The goal in business is not to do business with everyone who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with those who believe what you believe. So what do you believe? What do you believe? What do you believe? Okay, that's a good start. And what is the value? What are the real problems or challenges that you solve for this ideal agent avatar? Once you have that, oh my gosh, they went from 3,000 agents in the MLS down to maybe 150 that I'm going to go select from and have meaningful conversations with versus just trying to recruit any Tom, Dick, and Harry with a pulse. All right. So, sorry. I got to laugh at myself. I can't see you all. You can only see me. So excuse the, weird references from time to time. So are we okay so far? I'm going fast because I got to get into some of this nitty gritty stuff, but I cannot in good conscience leave here without first encouraging you to consider who do you need to become? Remember that ladder to attract or be deserving of leading the type of agent that you desire. That's number one. Number two, getting really clear on who your ideal agent avatar is. And I gave you some thought-provoking questions maybe on that. Now we can get into what you probably all actually came here for today, which is the 5-step system. After recruiting, as I mentioned, for years and working with a lot of agents and refining this will sound actually eerily similar to a sales process because it is. So humor me. If you're taking notes and writing these things down, here's the 5-step process. And I'm going to circle back to close today out on this very first one that I'm about to give you. So just write these down for now, and then I'll circle back to the first one. 5-step process number one, write the word attract. I got to attract people. This is otherwise known as the lead generation language, right? How am I going to, this is top of funnel, how am I going to introduce agents to who the heck we are, who the heck you are? I have to have intentional things that I do in order to bring people into my world or have reasons to invite them into my world. Some generic examples of this would be some of you are using social media. That's great. That's a top of funnel. That's an attraction mechanism. Some of you are doing like career nights. Some of you have a very robust training calendar that you're inviting guests to experience you. Again, I'm going to circle back to this specific one because there's a lot of meat I need to give you leaving here today about this first one. But step one is attract. Step two, this is a process, by the way. This is a system. Step two is qualify. So now that I've brought somebody in or they're interested, they're maybe raising their hand a little bit, just like an agent who has a potential buyer, what's the next step? Well, I've got to qualify that buyer. I've got to make sure they're ready, willing, and able. Our version of that applies here, okay? Now that you've attracted agents into your ecosystem, how are you going about qualifying them? Are they aligned with your culture and belief systems? Are they the type of agent that you have described as being your ideal avatar? So the goal here at step two is to gather information, ask questions, and understand, are we a fit or are we aligned? That's the goal here at step two, qualify. Pro tip. This is where most of you screw up. This is where I can generally not even get past step two. And here's why. I'm not throwing shade at you. It's actually because most of you have a caring and giving and servant-driven leader's heart. And it's that very thing that makes you screw this part up. Here's a real world example. Let's say you're meeting with me and you're doing it all right, man. You're gathering the questions, you're getting to know me, we're building some rapport, you're figuring out what are my pain points, my challenges. Here's what happens. Because you want to help, we go straight into fix it mode. You say, oh, your time management is your struggle. Blah, 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 blah. Let me help you with that. Don't do that yet. This is where most of you trip up. You go straight into fix it mode. That's not the goal here. Remember what I said. The goal here is to gather information, ask questions, get to know everything you can, because the more they talk, the more you get to learn and make mental notes. Okay? So what does this look like? The qualification phase, it could look like a traditional one-on-one meeting with somebody, right? Where I'm sitting with you belly to belly, we're going through a needs analysis. For some of you, maybe this looks like, hey, $10 million agent, I'm not going to jump straight to the mustard and say, hey, let's talk about coming to XYZ Realty. No. Some of you have this softer approach, and maybe it's a business review. You offer to meet with them to help them set their goals or review their systems and to kind of take an audit of their business. That is still a version of you qualifying them, because I'm learning, I'm bonding with them, I'm asking questions about them and their business here. We want to uncover what are their wants, what are their needs, and what are their challenges. That's phase 2, step 2. Step 3, write this word down. Now that we've attracted, we've qualified, step 3 is present. Present. Your goal here at the present phase, phase 3, is to demonstrate value, build authority, and create confidence. I'll repeat that. Your goal here at step 3 during present is to demonstrate value, real value, build authority, and create confidence. Remember that ladder approach? We're kind of checking some of those boxes off right here at the 3rd phase. So what would that look like? Again, could show up in various different forms, but it could be a training event. Maybe you invite them, you're teaching next week on, the top 10 productivity hacks to get your next 10 listings. I don't know. Okay. And maybe you invite them to be in attendance to that based on what you've learned, and that would be, relevant for them. That's a great way, because you're literally presenting and they can see you and experience you in action. Could be a career night, could be a formal recruiting appointment, again, where both sides at this point now know that the intent is that you're presenting the brokerage's value. Maybe that's in the form of a recruiting packet. So present can take on different meanings. You're presenting in front of a room as a training, or both parties are meeting one-on-one again, and this time we are talking about the idea of maybe joining, and I'm presenting to you our brokerage's value or recruiting packet or whatever the case may be. This right here is generally where you're going to have a bottleneck, and that's perfectly normal. I had a recruiting pipeline sheet with all the names, first name, last name, contact information, notes, but one of the columns was rank. It wasn't subjective, right? If I sorted those columns, I would label them a 1, 2, 3, 4, or a 5. I had more 3s if you sorted my pipeline of recruits, because I had a clump of them right here at present. We weren't quite ready to move past this step yet, but I knew I'd already qualified them and I knew I'd already presented to them. So I had more 3s in my recruiting pipeline than any other rank, and that's okay, right? This is where, another pro tip, I created what I call it, I guess, an invitation cycle. An invitation cycle. Check this out. And I was known as being incredibly persistent. I still carry that reputation today, but it's not like I was annoying or they ignored my calls and texts. And here's all I did. I invited my face off. Okay? I figured my job is to provide so much flippin' value to them over whatever extended period of time was necessary, because all the while I'm building a relationship, I'm acting as if I am their leader until I was their leader. My philosophy was my goal is to stay in relationship with them long enough until their own broker screwed up and I was the first person they would call. And I'll be damned if that didn't work. I would just invite. Every time I would recruit or reach out to somebody, I had them on an invitation cycle. Here's what I did. Remember in the qualifying stage, I'm taking notes, mental notes about what are their pain points, what are their needs, what are their challenges. I had a column that I would put one word: lead gen, time management, follow up, whatever that big thing, that big hairy thing that's standing in their way, that's what I put there. And guess what I did? Knowing what we had coming in the future weeks or months, I would just sort that list and say, oh, cool, next month we're doing a training on time management. Who can I call on my pipeline and invite to that time management class? Right? Hey, what's up? It's Jake. Remember 45 days ago we met and you expressed to me that you kind of had some stress around time management? You're not going to believe this. I've got a training coming up next month on this time and this date. I immediately thought of you. I would love to have you attend and be my guest. Can you make it? You guys, I did that over and over and over again, and I wore their asses down because I wasn't calling them just to recruit them every time. Just like you don't want your agents calling their database and spewing commission breath all over them. Who do you know looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate? It's a terrible script, right? Every time we call somebody shouldn't always be the what's in it for me. Instead, I just figure, hey, I'm going to be doing all these trainings anyways. And if I just bring a little systemization to my recruiting pipeline and what their needs are, now I'm just inviting them consistently to things that speak to their need. How could they get upset at me? Why would they dodge my calls and texts? They wouldn't, and they didn't. And over time, some quick, some not so quick, I'm recruiting 10, 15, $50 million producing agents because I'm actually providing real value, showing them that I listened and I understand what their needs were, and I'm just putting them on an invitation cycle system. So maybe that's your gold nugget right there, Derek. Thanks, man. All right, so step four, sorry, is proposal. So what have we done? Stage one, attract. Stage two, qualify. Stage three, present. Stage four, proposal. Okay. Your goal here is the exploration or invitation of what opportunities or what the path forward could look like. We're beyond the small talk by now. At phase four, it's like, this may happen. We just might need to work out some details or whatever the case may be, but this is literally now. So let me rephrase: exploration, invitation, and opening up the possibilities, opening up the opportunities of how we can now proceed forward if we were to go in business with each other. So a proposal, what does that look like? Well, this would be the, as I said, exploration of how we could work together. You say, look, we could do this. Here's what we need to do first. How the onboarding would work. What value they would receive. I'm literally proposing to them how we can go into business with each other and overcoming any hurdles or obstacles, right? This one ties very closely with number 5, so I'm going to go ahead and give you number 5. That's the close. So proposal is number 4. Step 5 is the close or next steps, right? This is where a doctor, learn from your doctor. It's rare that you would ever go to a doctor and he or she would leave that meeting with you and not say something like this: hey, Jake, blah, 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 blah. Here's what's wrong with you. And here's what's going to happen next. Doctors are brilliant. That's a script. Here's what's going to happen next. I don't know about you, but if my arm's getting ready to fall off or something, that gives me confidence. That gives me a reassurance that there's a plan. That is very confident and directive language. So if I was meeting with an agent, and it's like, hey, this looks like we're going to come together on things and we're aligned, but they said, Jake, it's just the timing, man. The timing is tough because I've got 5 active listings. I'm showing five buyers some properties right now. What am I going to do about that? And all the signs and business cards. It's just so overwhelming. And I would say this, I'm going to meet them where they're at. Hey, I get it. I get it. Let me ask you a quick question, agent. What do you do for a living? Well, Jake, I help people move. I help people buy and sell homes. Yeah, exactly. Well, guess what, agent? You and I are not so different after all, because guess what? That's what I do. You happen to work with buyers and sellers, but I help agents make moves. I help agents find their next home. So just the same way that you're going to give reassurance and confidence to your buyers and sellers when they're a little stressed out, I just need you to have faith in me because this is what I do every day for a living. So I tell you what, here's what's going to happen next. I'm going to actually introduce you to Sally. Sally is our director of agent services, our agent concierge. And she specializes in helping agents like you transition their business over so we can eliminate any bumps or speed bumps along the way as much as possible. She's going to help navigate what to do with the ordering of new signs, how we can help navigate those current listings and things that you have. So how does that sound? I have a plan. I'm giving her confidence, or this agent confidence of here's what's going to happen next, and I've got you, right? So this stage, the final stage, is where we have a mutual agreement that we're going to go into business with each other. We just need to work out logistics at this point. Maybe that's going over that transition plan, discuss the timing, introduce other parties that need to be involved, like an agent concierge, whatever. But it's basically a done deal. We've overcome anything else at this point. So let's review real quick, and then I'm going to circle back to the first one like I promised you. 5-step process. Process number 1 is attract. Number 2 is qualify. Number 3 is present. Number 4 is proposal. And number 5 is the close, the next steps. And as a reminder, imagine, it doesn't have to be fancy, an Excel spreadsheet, first name, last name, email, phone number, rank, pain point, notes. That's all you need for like a recruiting pipeline. And if I get stuck with somebody at phase 3, they're going on my invitation cycle. Every time I have an event or a training coming up about their pain point, I'm inviting them over and over to it. I'm just going to wear them down with value. Okay. Other than that, when you're going through and sorting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, somebody like me, a coach, a peer, whoever, can sit with you and say, hey, let's look at your recruiting pipeline. I see all these 1s and 2s. What's it going to take Joe Smith, who you have ranked a 2, which tells me you're at the qualify stage with him? What do we need to get Joe from a 2 to a 3? How do we need to get in front of him to present now? I don't have to wonder, what does a 2 mean? What does a 3 mean? It literally means here's what stage I'm at with them. And then we can have a meaningful conversation of how to advance this person from a 2 to a 3, from a 3 to a 4, from a 4 to a 5. And that way you can get in front of who should be joining you this month, who should be joining you next month, and so on and so forth. Any questions or concerns or comments about that? I'm not done yet. I just want to put a period on that 5-step process. Okay. If there is, put it in the chat, or I can always circle back to it later. One last thing I'd like to share with you, if that's okay. So how many of you, well, I can't see you, so maybe this is a rhetorical question, I guess. How many of you, though, are familiar with the old school food pyramid? This is how screwed up my brain works, all right? So it was by now about a year ago. Thank you, Don. About a year ago. I can't make this stuff up. I don't know what I was doing. I was scrolling or looking up something. I don't even know. I saw a picture of the food pyramid, and I didn't even know. Apparently, they don't even use that anymore. But I saw that and I'm like, that's a model. That's a model. How can I take the freaking food pyramid and let that be my inspiration for a recruiting and growth model? And I swear to you, I figured it out and I'm going to share that with you right now. I have coined this the consumption model. Let me just quickly explain, then I'll shut up and share. The consumption model. This is the attraction phase, phase one, because phase two, three, four, and five are no good if you don't have people attracting and getting into the funnel. So how do we go about that? How do we attract people? My philosophy has always been I need people to experience me, right? I can't just tell them or show them how wonderful our brokerage is. I need them to experience me. So if it's good enough for the food pyramid to show how many fruits and vegetables and grains I need to consume to have a healthy mind, body, and soul, all I'm doing is applying that same philosophy over to a consumption model for recruitment. What do I need to feed people, agents, so they can consume that in order to experience me for themselves? Are you getting this? So here's what I created. And this is a real life example of the locker room. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm sharing my screen. Hold on. So here is Jake's consumption model influenced by the 5 major food groups. So check this out though. And I'm happy to share a blank one of these so all of you can do this for your own businesses. Let's start at the bottom because this works from bottom to the top, top to the bottom. I started at the bottom with social media because for me, it's the most frequent and most consumable way that broker owners like you or agents can experience the locker room. They can get to know us. They can creep on us. They can stalk us, whatever. So now we have a Facebook group called Broker Talk. Many of you are in it. And I'm loud and proud all over social media. I do videos, I drop little nuggets and tidbits and different things all the time, just free information. Here you go, here you go. If you like it, great, consume it. And you may keep consuming that for a while. But then I go up the pyramid and I go to videos. Okay, so social media, frequency, and also, by the way, it's at the bottom because it's also the least effective. Most frequent, least effective. But as I creep up the food chain here, I go to videos, still pretty frequent. And actually, it's more effective because instead of me making a static Facebook post, now you can see me, you can hear me, you can feel like we're getting to know me and build a rapport with me, whether we've ever spoken or not. And then a tick up from that, a little less frequent, but hey, arguably more effective is published content. This could be publications, blogs, PR articles, podcasts, different things that I can create and publish like that. And from there, at the locker room, now we do training events. I'm doing one with you right now. Are you experiencing me? You may hate me, you may love me, I don't know. But this is exactly a version of what I mean here at the trainings. Even more less frequent, however, even more powerful or productive, right? And then the tippity top is events. We do in-person events. Least frequent, most effective. You attend one of our events for a day or two, you're going to fall in love with us. You're going to say, wow, I want more information. Tell me more about what you guys do. Great. So I just need you to see this, that they're all separate but equal in their own way. From the bottom, it's the most frequent and least effective. And yet, from the top, it's the least frequent, but perhaps the most effective. So what you're looking at here is simply our lead generation, attraction, selection model. I just like to call it the consumption model because my job is to feed you whatever information you're wanting to consume. And the more you consume it, great, because it may lead us closer and closer through our own pipeline to get you, asking about what we do. So anyways, full transparency, this is literally my company's consumption model. And like I said, I'm happy to share. Let me go back here. I am happy to share this. If anybody is a visual creature like me, I can send this to Mike and the Suite Assist team. And if they want to email this out with the replay or something like that, then it's all yours. You guys do whatever you want to with it. Okay. So to recap, what have we talked about? And I'm going to get to Q&A and open it up for questions here. All of you came here today for different reasons. If I could implore you for anything, let's go back to the top. Who do you need to be to attract and deserve the quality or type of agent that should be led by you? We got to work on ourselves. From there, you need to understand, who is that ideal agent? I've got tons of questions. I'm happy to help you if you just get with each other, whatever you need to do to really define who the agent is that is more likely to thrive in your environment and value the proximity they have to you and the team. Okay. Then I need you to, if you'd like, institute some sort of system. I gave you a 5-step system, so there's no subjectivity to it. You're either a 1, a 2, or 3. I know exactly where in the stage you are, and there's a system to it. A lot of you don't need the next script. A lot of you don't need the next tactic. What you actually need is a duplicatable system. And that's those 5 steps that I gave you today. And then after that, you go back to phase 1, which was figuring out your consumption model. What are we going to put out there for people to consume to attract them into our ecosystem, which puts them at 1. And once they're in our ecosystem, now I can worry about moving them through steps 2, 3, 4, and 5. But I gotta get them to pay attention to me first. And I think the best way to do that is to feed them and let them consume what you have to offer, because they're going to like it and they're going to develop an appetite for it. So that's what I've got today. Mike, if there's any questions or additional comments from you or the group, I'm happy to take them.
Yes. Dude, that was awesome. Appreciate it. Send me that pyramid. Who else wants that pyramid? If you guys could raise your hand in the group here, I'm going to actually use that just for my own organization. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I did see one question. It was from Mr. Derek Carlson. I might be able to help you out with this one. Derek's asked, on your 5 steps to recruiting, can this be automated through a series of videos to show them that they can trust you? You can help them and that you care. And then the second part of that question, if not, if it's an inner office referral. Derek, if you don't mind, I want to take that one. Videos in the background running through ads to a targeted list of the agents you're trying to recruit that reflect those leadership traits that Jake's talking about would be what does it. So, for example, you on stage speaking, or you just giving training for your local agents. And I do a lot of these funnels. I do a lot of attraction-based funnels with video content. And how we do those is that we first create, just like Jake says, we first create the value. So my first ad is never an ad that asks for someone's email address. My first ad is nothing more than a video with my best damn content that people will consume. And then I retarget the ones who watch 50% of that or more. Okay. And it's just like dating. It's the pickup line first. Hey, you look, Jake. I love that hat on you today, dude.
You're so
look,
sweet.
I made him laugh. Now I'm in, right? Okay, so this is what a lot of this is, because you got to get that first step and you got to get their attention first. So the short answer is yes, you can, but I don't think you can automate the actual authenticity, and actually you're going to meet with the person they're going to join eventually. However, you could get on their radar creating content that reflects everything Jake talked about today.
I 100% echo what he just said. And Derek, for you, if that's something you're already doing, that would probably be somewhere in your consumption model. It's probably down here at the baseline, having an email campaign that's going out to our target audience with videos of you pouring out value. Like, that's a legitimate thing for sure, to at least capture their interest and make them pay attention to you. Are you going to convert people overnight from that? Probably not, but that doesn't mean it's not effective.
Yeah, once you start occupying their attention, it's just a matter of time until they jump ship. And right now, everyone's jumping ship because they don't know which way to go. That's why right now is just a sea of recruiting possibilities for anybody.
They are looking for strong leaders. I'm telling you, right now, man, I talk to a lot of you, okay? Agents especially. They're looking for leaders that cut through the noise. They don't make the noise. There's a lot of noise and bullshit that's out there right now. Right now is the time for you as leaders to rise above the noise and stop creating the noise. All right. And when you're clear about that value, I'm telling you, their questions to you about what are your caps and splits don't matter so much anymore, because they
Yep.
see you as the pilot of the ship, of the plane here, and you can help guide them to what they want because you actually solve real problems. You're not just discounting your way to success.
This happened once in COVID, guys. It wasn't too long ago. Remember, the ones who were really loud on social media all became like TikTok celebrities. And look at all the agents that came out of social media during COVID is because 90% of the agent population went into hiding, including their brokers. But the ones that came out and just dominated on social media, kept creating content, kept smiling. What are they doing today? They're on stages speaking. They're the ones we're all learning from.
I see Lewis has a question. What type of events would most effective in order to attract agents? Again, it's a blanket answer, but I can't answer that. Neither can you until you know who is my ideal agent, because your actions or value propositions have to align with what that ideal agent wants. But here's I will answer the question, and Mike, you probably have great ideas as well. Common things anywhere from career nights. If you're looking to attract that brand new hungry agent, cool, career nights work. If you're not, that wouldn't make so much sense. You see, it's gotta align. I was always a huge fan of, I had weekly, multiple trainings every week. So we just lit it up with learning based culture, environment, and all that stuff. So I always had something, a training to be inviting people to. If it's less frequent for you, what would that look like if every month or even every quarter to start, you just hosted a mastermind roundtable at a neutral site, neutral location, right? So if you want $5 million to $8 million producing agents, make it that niche down. Hey, this is an invite only exclusive mastermind event for agents currently producing $5 to $8 million. And you can be the facilitator of a really powerful mastermind.
Yeah, that's it. It's not so much the topic of the event. It's that when people attend training events, they're raising their hand to say, recruit me, because their broker's not leading them. That's why they're attending your training event. So use it as a lead magnet more than anything. And the more steps they have to get to attend the training event, the more likely they are to convert. Showing up in person to a live event is more likely to get converted than someone attending a webinar right here with their camera off. This is a series of steps. However, they might watch you first on the webinar like this with their camera off before they have the energy or wherewithal to actually schedule and meet with you in person. And then it's a giant funnel, but it starts by creating content and leading and educating.
Let me give a real practical example. Don't log off yet, everybody. Maybe this is the golden nugget, okay? I'm just full transparency. I mentioned at the start that I've been doing an experiment over the last 90 days. You guys remember when I said that? Yeah. So I figure, regardless of your religious beliefs, okay, I figure, you know what? If it's good enough for the good Lord upstairs to tithe 10% of my money, then what if I applied the tithing concept to my time? So you guys, seriously, here's what I did. Here's what I'm doing. If I'm working, let's say 50 hours a week, okay, what's 10% of that? 5. I'm going to donate 5% of my time. I call it time tithing. Okay. I'm tithing 10% of my time, which is why every day I'm meeting with 2 of you with no strings attached, because I'm just adding value. I'm giving back, and I'm meeting with potentially my ideal audience, but I'm not going in there guns ablazing trying to close anybody on anything. I just want to help. That's part of the hierarchy. That's part of the consumption model. You're experiencing me, right? And so for all of you, what if you took that back? Say, you know what? Every day I'm going to meet with one agent. Who wants it? I'm going to do a business plan review or a strategy session or whatever with one agent. I don't care what brokerage you hail from. We're just going to meet. We're going to crank out, and I can walk away feeling good about myself because I donated 10% of my time. And whether that leads to a agent or whatever, more business down the road, TBD, right? But I'm going to give first without expecting anything in return. And it has been wonderful. I don't know if I'll ever get business, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm staying true to why I'm doing it. I'm giving, and it's been freaking awesome. So time tithing is another maybe takeaway.
There's a very famous saying, Jake, that says, if you give, you shall receive.
Exactly.
Are you telling me that actually works?
Crazy, right? Crazy.
Very good, man. Yes. I agree with everything you said. God bless. I don't see any other questions. Let me double check and make sure that we have everybody here. Jake, that was very well put. I'm going to post this for those of you guys that are our Sweet Assist. We have a broker owner training section in the back end of your login where a lot of this content plus a lot of other stuff is, but that's where this will be posted. And for those of you who are not, we're going to send out a replay to everyone who registers. I know there's quite a bit of people that couldn't make today, but they just want the replay. We will go ahead and send that out. Next week, we'll have another surprise guest, you guys. We'll let you know what that looks like, but this was awesome, Jake. I think you nailed it. I don't know. You nailed it. I don't have any other questions myself. Usually I do have a couple, but I think you crushed it, man.
I mean, I'm just wondering, are you like sending me a Valentine's Day gift today, buddy? Like,
I
what are
already
we
did. I
doing?
gave you a compliment
Oh,
on your hat, and that's all you
you did.
get.
Okay. You did make me smile today. That's my gift. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, you guys, that's all it's about. Sometimes like this is all brand. Right now, it's all brand. It's brand, 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 because people want to be around something they feel they're part of. Stick with that message. It's just you got to identify yours first, though. Thanks, guys. We'll send out the replay. I appreciate all you guys watching. See you guys next month's call, and we'll let you know if there's anything else cool in between. We'll be sending out to you guys via email. See you guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.